Welcome back. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg now issuing a warning to Democrats, he's calling it, on the upcoming midterm elections. He says, quote, the party is headed for a wipeout in November. Up and down the ballot, writes Michael Bloomberg. In his new op-ed, Bloomberg says voters perceive the Democrat Party as too focused on culture wars, like renaming schools and defunding the police. Patrice, that sounds about right. The number of House Democrats retiring hitting a 30-year high. Maybe they're retiring because they also expect a wipeout.
Well, obviously, I mean, I think he's absolutely right. You know, what's interesting is how, one of the biggest constituents that I think the left has taken for granted has been parents, energized parents who are tired of seeing their kids' schools closed with no good reasons and not based on any sort of science. And I think the learning loss, the loss of socialization, the impacts that it's had on children, it's not lost on parents. And also not lost is how parents have been treated, called terrorists by the Biden administration. So it's not surprising that I think you're going to see this pretty significant losses, predicted for the Democrats. I don't think, though, the party is willing to adjust their rhetoric, to adjust their policies, because they're going to stand on being on the wrong side of these culture wars.
Yeah, what do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I might disagree with Bloomberg a little bit. I don't think Democrats are solely focused on culture wars. They also seem intent on tanking the economy and driving up inflation. And listen, these household issues are what's going to determine the control of Congress in November. And while I appreciate the optimism of Republicans, and I can tell you I was on the Hill yesterday and they are measuring the drapes in the speaker's office as we speak, I think they're getting a little ahead of themselves, because there's still a lot of time between now and November. And if they don't articulate a clear vision of getting inflation under control, getting this economy back on track, and getting COVID in the rearview mirror, Democrats may apply a sneak attack here, and they may surprise some folks.
No, you're right. And one point that you made is true in terms of whether or not this is intentional. I mean, they want to tank the economy. I don't know about that, but they certainly want people to change the way they approach energy. They want to do away with fossil fuels. So if that means pushing oil prices to 100, 150, that's what it means. If that means tanking the economy, well, that comes along with it. But they want their climate change agenda as the priority, bottom line.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
Maria, really quick, I still don't want to undermine or dismiss, overlook, the impact of parents. It's interesting when you look at those soccer moms, those more suburban moms who voted for Biden. I think it's going to be an interesting to see how they swing in a different direction. Not necessarily. I mean, obviously, the wallet issues are important to them, but their kids are really important. And so I think it's energizing at the Independent Women's Forum to see how these moms are very much activated against, what they're seeing in terms of their school boards. But also, I could see this having some impacts in November of this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't get in the middle of Mama Bear with her babies. Don't even think about it. I agree with you. And then there's crime. Parents, mothers worried about crime. We'll take a break and then look at New York City crime skyrocketing.